In this video, I'm going to be showing you how this check-in system works. Now, this check-in system essentially takes a form of data, processes it, provides a summary, and then looks back at previous records of that particular client or that person's profile to give you the summary and also a draft reply to send to that client that's based in your own words. Now, I'm not going to show you kind of behind the scenes. I'm just going to show you exactly how this works in functional form and actually how you would interact with this software. First thing to say is that it's completely flexible. So as you can see, this is very much a template form. I've got a template Airtable base where we're going to store all the data. But what is on the form and how the database is structured is completely customizable. So it's not specific to coaching, which is what it's currently set up as. It could be applied to different industries as well. So I'm just going to submit a sort of example check-in here, and I'm going to show you what then happens inside of Airtable. Before I do that, there's just two elements to this for now. This is the form that we're going to fill in. And then inside of Airtable, we've got all the listed submissions, the traffic light score, a summary, and the draft reply. So what I'll do is hop in first and to submit. Now, this is a case study here would be you're working with a coach, you're going to submit as a client your online check-in form so that the coach then receives this information and they get their draft reply ready to go back. Okay, so we're going to say we're an amber score for this week. I did 4 workouts, biggest wins. Got some good sessions completed, slept well, and feeling energized. Now, what this form can also do is kind of route you based on your traffic light score. So depending on an answer, you can provide more depth if it's, a red score, or less if there was a green score, for example. In this case, because it's amber, we're going to have sort of moderate amount of depth to these answers. So we're just going to put, I've had 7 hours sleep, 6,000 average daily steps, and energy levels have been about an 8 because that's what we answered in the first win section. 1 to 2 challenges, let's say work has been quite stressful and I've struggled to get Okay, so what I'm essentially saying here is that work's been stressful and I've struggled to get access to the kit I need in the gym when it's really busy. So that's what I'm now going to submit. Any questions finally? Let's put none this week. Okay, and submit. So the client then would see, thanks for submitting. You've got your check-in, gives it a quick summary here back to you. You'll get an email. It's also then going to add them to the database, and then the system's going to kick in and it's going to basically process the summary. And it's also going to process a draft reply for the client as well. Okay, and as you can see, it's now sort of added the summary and added that draft reply to the column. So what it's going to have done is obviously looked at that form data, looked at my previous data from previous check-ins to provide the coach then with just a high-level summary. So rather than having to read each individual element of this, we just get to read the summary. So I'm showing positive momentum, improved adherence. So it's recognised that I've now done 4 workouts, previous was 3, better energy, up from an 8, also up to an 8 from a 5. Weight's dropped by 3 kilos, work stress, gym equipment, consistent sleep. So it's recognised all of that. A shift from feeling like treading water, which I've spoken about previously, to feeling energised suggests he's finding his rhythm. So it has not just identified what the form submission was, but also what the previous check-ins were and therefore what the trend of the data is suggesting. So as a coach, you just get a snapshot to read. You don't have to worry about each individual answer. It contextualizes all of that for you. What it's then done is provided a draft response. The draft response can be trained in your own language using examples from previous responses. So here it's obviously given that really solid week, 4 workouts completed. It's obviously saying that energy's up, that's a huge shift. Given suggestions then for the lack of equipment. So if you consider trying some alternative exercises when equipment is taken, perhaps shifting 1 or 2 sessions to a quieter time, sleep and step count consistent, keep riding positive momentum. So it's also giving a bit more encouragement there at the end. So that in essence is what it's going to do. It's going to process that check-in, it's going to look at previous check-ins, identify trends, provide you as a coach with the summary and also a draft reply. Now, the difference in time between doing all of this manually versus all of this automatically is that if you're happy with this response and it's exactly the language, you're happy with the suggestions, you could copy, paste, and send that back to the client automatically. You wouldn't need to do anything more. You might want to have some minor tweaks to this. It might take you 30 seconds, but the difference then is taking what would be potentially a 5 to 10 minute check-in to a few seconds. So the other thing to say, as I've said earlier, is that all of this can be modified, so it doesn't have to be just for online coaches. This can be for different industries. The elements, though, are a form to extract or collect the information, the automation in the background which processes it and uses AI automation software to basically create those patterns and summaries and draft replies, and then a database to store all this information so you've got all of that historical data neatly stored away and you can process that easily. So if you'd be interested in having a discussion about how this could apply to your industry or your particular business, then please just let me know.